Miles Morales is definitely a much appreciated gift from Marvel to fans desperately searching for inclusion and relatability within its franchise. Morales' solo debut comic, Ultimate Comic Spider-Man, saw Miles in a solo role as the reluctant recipient of a legacy that he was far from prepared to inherit, but quickly grew to champion and cherish, all the while honoring his predecessor. Like any Spider-Man comic, Ultimate Comic Spider-Man's main themes revolve around responsibility, and through that lens we see an amazingly vulnerable and conflicted character. Miles Morales is an Afro-Hispanic 13-year-old boy when he is bitten by a radioactive spider and imbued with its abilities. However, in the course of using those spider powers, he draws unwanted attention that forces him to learn how to strike a balance between his old life and the new one that comes along with his new powers. Whether through virtue of youth or general inexperience, the driving force behind many of Morales' early decisions in the series is fear, which stems from a number of sources. Although that fear is quickly replaced by determination as he grows to meet ever-increasing conflict, ultimately cementing his name in the Hall of Greats. Miles Morales definitely earns an A++ rating across the board, and while we're very proud of how much he's grown and the greatness he's achieved, we can't forget about the glow up. So here are 8 Spidey facts he really doesn't want you to know. Number 1. He's no longer a peripheral character. When Ultimate Comic Spider-Man first debuted, it was obviously in the Ultimate series of comics. A run line that, while known for its diversity and fresh take on heroism and storytelling, ultimately existed on Earth 1610. Marvel's principal Earth and the living place of the first Spider-Man is Earth 616. This meant that no matter how legendary Miles Morales and his story was, he could never be truly a part of Marvel's main continuity, which is a shame because he is legendary. However, all that changed following the events of the Secret Wars arc. This arc saw the destruction of Miles' original Earth as well as other planets and the creation of a planet called Battleworld from their remnant. On this new world, Dr. Doom was made into a deity/king and of course ruled over it as only he could. Although Doom's reign was short-lived because he was defeated by other heroes including Miles and Earth 616's Peter Parker. After they defeated Dr. Doom, a character by the name of Molecule Man recreated Earth 616 and placed Miles along with his family, including his once-deceased mother and uncle in it, which grants him access to the main continuum, which in a word is awesome. Number 2. Miles bought his place in Earth 616 with a cheeseburger. During the events of Secret Wars, Molecule Man, the guy who would ultimately grant Miles access to Earth 616, was being held prisoner by Dr. Doom. On his way through Doom Castle, Miles happened by Molecule Man. Miles freed him, but before heading on his way, Molecule Man asked the kid for something to eat. Miles reached in his pocket and handed him a cheeseburger. That cheeseburger must have been one hell of a quarter pounder because Molecule Man said that he was now in Morales' debt. Later, during the conclusion of Secret Wars, Molecule Man made good on that debt and created a new Earth 616, the main Marvel Earth, and placed Miles in it. Shout out to Molecule Man. Number 3. His uncle gave him his powers. It's no secret Miles Morales comes from diverse roots, but that diversity doesn't stop at ethnicity, instead it extends to professions, so it should come as no surprise that his uncle is a pretty great criminal. Yep, that's right, Aaron Davis, Miles Morales' uncle, who goes by the name of Prowler without wrongdoing, is a tech-savvy, hard-farting, hard-fighting villain who is even known by Nick Fury. Davis's modus operandi is thievery, which he is quite good at. So good that he is given a job to steal a super soldier formula from Norman Osborn. And while in the course of his job, Davis unwittingly carries out one of the spider test subjects Osborn was working on at the time. This spider would ultimately find its way to Miles' hand, where it bit him and gave him spider powers. How lucky is that? Number 4. Miles hated having powers. Having powers can be a jarring experience, especially if you're a 13-year-old kid fearing exposure and alienation from your family and friends as well as society. So to say that Miles was not happy with manifesting spider powers is an understatement. From his supers hating father to a city still recovering from a recent mutant attack that had flooded all of Brooklyn, Miles had very few allies to encourage healthy exploration of his newfound powers, which leads him to view them negatively. If not for his best bud Genki as well as inspiration from the life of his predecessor, former Spider-Man Peter Parker, Miles may have never became the hero he would go on to become. Number 5. Miles let Peter die. Well, technically this is a bit of hyperbole. Yes, Miles did have powers when Peter Parker was killed, and no, he did not take the heroism during his time, but he was still in the discovery slash fear slash confusing phase that superpowers often bring. Give the kid a break. Actually, if not for Peter's death, he would have never found the inspiration to become Spider-Man. Also, his best bud Genki, noting Miles' disappointment in himself about not helping the former Spider-Man out but instead running away from using his powers, gave Miles a bit of a perspective change, stating that because of Miles' inexperience, he might have ended up getting himself killed as well. Number 6. Miles killed his own. After finally but reluctantly accepting the mantle of Spider-Man, Miles was flying high on a few victories he had managed to snatch up. All that came crashing down once his uncle, who had disappeared to Mexico, returned. Having pieced together the circumstances around the appearance of the new Spider-Man, it didn't take long for Prowler to extort Miles into becoming his enforcer. And after taking out the criminal and newly self-proclaimed kingpin of New York's underworld, Scorpion, together, Prowler had already set his sights on becoming New York's new kingpin. However, Miles, who felt that succumbing to blackmail made him unworthy of the Spider-Man mantle, sought out a confrontation with his uncle. The two battled through the streets of New York, with Miles standing victorious when the dust settled. And while not directly, the fight between Miles and his uncle did end his uncle's death, which haunted Miles for a while. Number 7. His first fight was in a Spider-Man Halloween costume. Every superhero has humble beginnings, except Tony Stark, who was born a fully formed Robert Downey Jr. But Miles Morales was born Miles Morales, so when looking to break into heroing, he of course hit a snag, which is one of those quintessential issues every hero faces. What to wear? Luckily, his best bud for life had the answer in the form of last year's Spider-Man Halloween costume. It cost $80 and looked pretty rad. Although Miles felt a little reluctant to wear the Spider-Man costume due to it maybe being in bad taste. However, all that changed when Genki gave him the encouragement he needed to feel comfortable wearing it. So Miles, with newfound confidence, took to the skies of New York. Number 8. Miles Morales' comic may be canceled. My heart is literally broken. I, as well as numerous hordes of fans, have supported Miles since his inception, but it seems that may have not been enough because on Marvel's comic solicitation copy and covers for his June 2018 releases, the Miles solo comic titled Spider-Man was absent. So where is it? Or more so, where is he? Well, that's the million-dollar question no one has the answer to. We do know Miles currently has roles in the June issues of Venom and Champions. Also, that the creator and writer of Miles Morales' character and comics is signed on to work for DC exclusively. Fortunately though, due to Miles' popularity, we can all assume that Marvel won't leave us hanging, or hope at least. Well, that's it for our 8 Spidey facts. If you like this video, show some love with a like, maybe even a follow, and while you're down there, leave a comment for a chance to win tickets to Marvel Avengers Infinity War. I'm Super Otaku, encouraging you to keep it weird. So long.